My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 182 of Legally Clueless. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If this is your first time, audio episodes like this go out every single Monday and our video series is currently on, so new episodes on our YouTube every single Friday. If you check out the show notes, there's a link to our YouTube channel. There is a link to legallycluelessafrica.com, which is where you need to head to right now and sign up to be part of our fam. Now, speaking of the video series, the last 2 episodes that have gone out, I think if you are a creative or a creator of things, if you have started a business, you're running a business, and you're trying to figure out how the creativity lives side by side with the business, the last 2 episodes of our video series you need to watch. One features a lady called Wanjiku who runs a very successful events company whose core is super creative. Her first ever client was Google. Yeah, it's a big deal. I think it's a story that will inspire you. And the one that went out most recently is by actually somebody who makes probably half of my closet. Yvonne, she's such an amazing fashion designer and she runs an amazing company called Yvonne Afro Street. And she talks about starting a business in the creative industry, in the fashion industry. She actually at one point was robbed by thugs. They took damn near everything. Like it seemed like her business was over, but she kind of bounced back. I feel like those 2 episodes are a must watch. So head over to our YouTube channel. They're out there. And make sure you subscribe and share our awesome video series. Now, back to this episode. This is what's coming up.
One time when I was climbing the ladder, I felt my joints and I'm like, okay, this is just going to pass. Then after some time, my face just started to swell. They said you might have something called lupus. So I was like, what? What is lupus? I had just dropped out of school, started a new business. I had just gone into some sort of awakening where I was realizing, oh my God, life has been such a lie. I dropped church. I also dropped school. But now the meds weren't working. I was allergic to the meds they give me. So I was taken to the HDU, stayed there for 15 days with the tubes and everything, machines all over. You can't even sleep. The noise, doo.
I'm really excited about this episode because of that story. It's by Joy, who wrote in, said she wanted to share her story on the podcast. She listens to the podcast and it just ended up being such a powerful story. So it's coming up a little later in this episode. Ooh, my goodness. I'm so excited for the song of the week. Sorry, I just looked down at my prep sheet and I saw the name of the song and I just got so excited. So I was pretty weird. Not weird in a good way. When I refer to myself as weird, it's not negative. I love being other. But in uni, I was probably listening. Actually, no, I was listening to this in high school into uni. So while everybody else was listening to a lot of pop hits, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I was still listening to Erykah Badu back then. But I was also really, really obsessed with the Soweto String Quartet. I know. I know. And there's one particular song that I really loved, and then my playlist was on shuffle. It popped up and I have not heard it in years and I lost my mind. So I was just like, I have to share this with you. So they have a song called Zebra Crossing, which is off of one of their earliest albums, if I'm not wrong. That's called Zebra Crossing. And I love the song. It's so good. I really hope it's your jam. Obviously, it's not the regular stuff that I share on here, but then there's just an energy about this song. And then when you listen to each and every instrument, it's beautiful. So I've put a link to it in the show notes. Check it out. If you're listening on a platform that doesn't have show notes, just check out Zebra Crossing by Soweto String Quartet. Another thing that I want you to check out that celebrates African stories just like we do here is Guinness's new show called Black Shines Brightest Stories. It's on their YouTube channel, which is Guinness Kenya. There's a link to it in the show notes. If you can't access show notes on your platform, just go on to YouTube and search Guinness Kenya. And we've also shared it on our YouTube channel as well. I really dig this show because it's not often that brands as huge as Guinness actually say, hey, we want to celebrate the people who are just like culture shapers and icons when it comes to creativity on the continent. And it's people who you've probably not heard of before. And if you have, I'm 100% sure you've not heard of their stories like this, because it's like an in-depth, behind-the-scenes look at the stuff we don't really get to appreciate when it comes to creative stories. And one person who's actually one of my favorite humans on this planet right now, her name is Sweetie Nyarkano. Probably wearing to that and I shouldn't. But I really love how authentic she is. I like how true to her African roots she is. She's such a breath of fresh air, and I love everything about that girl. And she's on the Guinness Black Shine's Brightest Stories show. Listen to this.
I started my online platform as an accident. It came out at a point where I couldn't even pay the rent to this house. I had quit my job because of, I felt like I wasn't being appreciated. I had a boss who I would create stuff and she would criticize them so much, telling me that no one would love my stuff. So I stopped working with them, and the transition was so difficult for me. Because my first video, I remember I created a video, and when I woke up the next day, it had blown out of proportion.
Like when you're interacting with her stuff, at least when I didn't know behind the scenes there was so much she was navigating, and I didn't know how much she's conquered until I watched this particular episode, and it just made me love her even more. So check out the Guinness Black Shine's Brightest Stories show on the Guinness Kenya YouTube channel. There's a link to it in the show notes. So just a bit of a catch up, something very special that I wanted to share. I think in the last episode, yes, it was in the last episode, I talked about putting up my ancestral altar, which I'd been doing before without knowing, whenever I was like burning my sage, my candles, my sandalwood, my frankincense. And what I've started to do every morning when I go light my candles and burn a bit of sage is to ask my ancestors every morning to only let that which is mine, that which is for me, find me today. And it's been quite awesome doing that. In fact, like one day, it was so crazy because I said that in the morning, and now that I've moved somewhere silent, I don't have to do too many night shifts, which means my Sundays are mine once again. I haven't had a free Sunday for 3 years. And so last Sunday, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I thought, I'll go on like a long drive, which I love doing. I just kept pushing. I think I'm so used to working on a Sunday that now I was doing work even for like next month. So I kept saying like, okay, I'll go for the drive at 12. Then I was like, no, I'll have lunch first, then I'll go. I'll go for it at 1. I'll go at 2. I'll go at 3. Anyway, so I have some really cool neighbors who are kind of new in the area now. They just moved in 2 nights ago, but they've been coming across the last 2 months, and then we met and we just instantly became friends. So it's a mom and daughter duo who is super awesome. And so on this particular Sunday that I've started the day asking that only that which is for me should find me. The neighbor comes, so mom, daughter, and they come with mom's sister, so auntie. I've never met the aunt before. And so pleasantries, hi. And the mom and I like really can talk for eons. And so everybody breaks apart from us and we continue talking for like a long time, just on and on. She's telling me about the farming that she does. She watches YouTube and learns how to farm different fruits, grow different fruits rather. Told me about how she tried to make wine from watermelons, didn't work out. She's just such good energy. Anyway, so towards the end, we speak for like an hour. Towards the end, I start telling her how I've always wanted to do beekeeping. I wanted to do it for years. And the first person I told, they kind of didn't take the idea seriously. Yeah, and almost like belittled it and made me now doubt my own thing that I wanted to do. And even away from that, it always just felt so hard. Like the companies I'd reach out for with set meetings, they don't happen. And I feel like if you're keen enough, you'll understand what's hard and still for you and what's hard and not for you. There's a different type of hardness when something is not for you and like the universe is trying to smack you back. Back in line with like what you're meant to be doing. And I think that was what was happening. Anyway, so I mentioned to the mom about this beekeeping thing that I wanted to do, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I need to get it up and running by December. That's what I want my Christmas gift to myself to be. And then she says, oh, you must talk to my sister, the aunt they came with. And it just turns out that we're so aligned in that beekeeping space. And some of the stuff that she's doing is answering the issues that I've been having trying to make this work. But can you see how if I went for my drive when I was meant to, I would not have seen them. And if I didn't vocalize what it is I wanted to do, I would never have known that the aunt is so aligned with what I'm trying to do and like we could definitely work together. And so now it's become my thing where every morning I'm just like, please, only let that which is mine find me today. When I'm saying it, I'm not saying it with a heart of only good things are going to find me and like life is going to be swell. I mean, even the challenges that I'll face in the day, let them be the ones that are mine, because the ones that are mine are there to teach me something, move me in a different direction, wake me up. They're mine. Right. So it's not even like, only let that which is mine find me today to be like all roses and whatever. No, like just make sure it's mine, not anybody else's, and just keep me on that path. I found a lot of comfort and clarity by starting my morning like that. I have also been doing yoga every morning for the last 2 weeks and really loving it. Ooh, really, really loving it. I can't wait to tell you more about that, but in another episode. Right about now, I think we need to jump into 100 African stories. And as I said earlier, Joy, aka Culture Queen, filled out our storyteller form. There's a link to it in the show notes. And we got in touch with her. We set up a day where I went to record her. She came with her friend, which was so adorable. And basically her story is about how she got diagnosed with lupus. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
So my name is Joy. My friends call me JJ because my second name is Cherop, but written Jerop. So yeah, note that. In the creative space, I go by Culture Queen, KQ. I write, I'm a poet, UX, UI designer. I also can do painting, beadwork. I was born in Meru. Lived in Nandi, Nairobi, Kapsabet. Studied in Nairobi for high school and campus. Our family clan totem is the elephant. I resonate with that because I have a really good memory and I don't forget things. From my mom's side, our totem is the soil. So I kind of feel elephant and soil vibe. So there was this time we went to Kikuyu to do an art project. So we were painting on walls. So we were doing pieces that would inspire the people who work there. And it was a tech space, so I really felt like this is actually my thing. I did a piece called Data is the New Oil. And another one about windmills because it's near Ngong Hills. So I just got inspired by the visuals around there. One time when I was like climbing the ladder, I felt my joints and I'm like, okay, this is just going to pass. Because maybe we're just tired and everything. Then after some time, my face just started to swell. But I wasn't seeing it. Other people were seeing it. When I look at myself, I'm like, yeah, this is okay. It's not swelling. And then I started getting like, my face was becoming really hot. But I ignored that because it was on and off. And then we came back to Juja because that's where we used to stay. And now everything just like spiraled out of control. I started getting like a small blister on my side cheek. Okay, side cheek sounds like side cheek. But yeah, on the side of my cheek. And then my face now swole. And then I had ulcers in my mouth. So one time my brother came to my place, and then he was like, I told him, by the way, I'm not feeling well. What's happening? Like, I have stuff in my mouth. I'm just feeling fatigued, tired, my joints, everything. He was like, fine. Tomorrow I'm coming for you, tunaenda Hosi. So we went to Aga Khan and I just told them what I was feeling. But then the doctors were like, okay, so let's see your hands. I'm like, my hands? That's not what brought me here. But I actually had rashes on my hands. Then they saw my tattoos and they were like, okay, fine. Apparently tattoos like can cause stuff to happen. So they said you might have something called lupus. So I was like, what is lupus? But at that moment, that's when I decided, okay, fine, whatever this is, whether it has a cure or not, I'm just going to be positive about it and I'm going to fight it. Because me, I don't see myself staying in bed the whole day. I'll have a lot to do. Like, I have things I want to achieve. So this is the time to be positive. And also before that, I had been negative for so long. Like, I was in a space that was a bit not my space. It was a new space. I had just dropped out of school, started a new business. So at home, everything was just like wild and everything. So I had been angry for some time. Plus also, I had just gone into like some sort of awakening where I was realizing, oh my God, life has been such a lie. I dropped church. I also dropped school. The people I was associating with, now I wanted to like be with these deep spiritual people like Rastafarians and, people who are just like in tune with nature. I wanted to like change everything. So there was a lot of stuff going on. So I was diagnosed, then I was admitted for like 5 days. But now the meds weren't working. Like, I was allergic to the meds they gave me, sulfur medication. So my face started to harden and then like I was so bloody. It was really bad. Like, if you see the photos, you're just going to be traumatized. Like, how can someone go through this? So I went back to hospital because now it was like, I don't know what this thing is and it's changing how I'm looking. So at the time, it's like I blocked my thoughts. I wasn't thinking about it, but I knew this is bad. So when I went back, they actually were like, this one, we were about to lose you. You're going to die. I was like, okay, I'm still like positive about it. Like, this is going to pass. I know. So when they're like, you're going to die, me in my head, I'm like, apana, I'm not going to listen to you. So I was taken to the HDU, stayed there for like 15 days with tubes and everything, machines all over. You can't even sleep. The noise, so uncomfortable. But my recovery in the HDU was really fast. I went there with a bloody face, a bloody chest. But when I came out, my skin was just, okay, it wasn't normal, but I don't mind sharing photos, but you have to like, viewer discretion is advised. So even guys were like, because it was really bad. So the staff were like, si ulitoka hapo sijui kikaaje, huyo Mungu wako ni mnoma sana, hata sisi unafaa tuambie nani huyu unaabudu and stuff like that. So in my head, I knew this was just like positivity working because it was just bad. So when I left for C, that's when I realized, okay, fine, being positive is actually a good thing. And then my mom also was like, so we are going to beat this with diet. So I just shifted to a plant-based diet. I do eat meat occasionally, some samosas here and there, but I try to stick to it. So when I looked at the lupus symptoms, I had to like sit down and look at everything now, like from me being sick and this awakening journey that I kind of was on to see if it's connected. Because actually there was a point in hospital where I was on morphine and a steroid called prednisone, like a very high dose, and mentally I was just thinking about a lot. So one time this nurse, she was my day nurse. I told her, I think I want some more morphine. Because she was like kind of young. She like understood, okay, fine. And then I told her, it's been a while since like I've smoked some weed. And this morphine is making me feel like that. So just ongeza kidogo for me to like feel a bit more higher. And then she added. I don't know if it was the right thing for her to do or not, but she did. So by evening, I was like super high. That day I even called my best friend. I couldn't talk to her. I could just hold up my phone. And then I told her, this is morphine. I also like called my boyfriend at the time. And then I just texted, this is morphine. He was so shocked, like perplexed, as in what's going on with this chick. So that night now, after showering, because they wash you, they have like a routine in the HDU. They wash you and then now you can relax. I told the nurse, I'm good, I'll dress myself up. So when I was dressing myself up, I started feeling so confused, like, why am I here? What am I doing? So I started hearing a voice in my head. So stand up. I stood up. I had been done a surgery on my finger. So now my brain was telling me, okay, now cause drama. I was like, fine. It's like I knew what to do. I stood up and then I was like, my finger. So the nurses came and everyone, and I just started like talking, Europeans have been lying to us. We need to have our own African liberation. Like, it was just so crazy. I don't remember much of it, but I caused a huge scene, a really huge scene. Towards the end of that scene that I was causing, I started walking towards the window because in my head I was seeing my friends were flying in the sky, so I was just going to say hi to them. But then they thought I wanted to jump out of the window. It was a closed window, like you can't open it. So they had to like bring in guards, many of them, because also I was on steroids, and steroids really make you strong. So they held me down, they tied me to the bed, and then they called my mom like, yo, Joy is becoming violent. So at home they're thinking, what is she doing now? They tied me to the bed like the way they do in movies. Like all this was very new to me. I'm like, okay, why are you tying me? So I'm telling them, okay guys, I need to use the washroom. They're like, we fanya mambo yako hapo, tutapanguza asubuhi. I was like, we okay. Like there was so much happening in my headspace. So now when I went back home, I started thinking, fine, what could have caused this? So I went back to school, because in school I used to be active in politics. And so there was this time, the first time I tried politics was when I was in second year, I think. And things didn't go well. We actually took KU to court, but it failed, of course, because I think KU paid the judges and everything. So I was like, I'm not doing politics again. But then now this second time, one of the lecturers was like, by the way, so you join this team, na itashinda. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe, because I had some ideas. Like I wanted to actually get into the space of leadership in school and use clubs to bring in more purpose to the students. You know, like if it's an agriculture club, let's start like a greenhouse and do stuff, you know, bring in technology. If it's a public policy club, let's join in with policy companies out there and just stuff too. If it's an art, let's do exhibitions. I wanted to go crazy and everything. So I joined this team, and then I realized that they just wanted to bribe the students to vote for them. So they had a crazy budget of like 800,000. I'm like, me, by the way, I can't. So I just decided to quit. And then now I got this idea of setting up a debate for the leaders. So the school was on board and everything. On the day of the debate, they called me to the council and they're like, by the way, we hear you want to bring in goons to the school to start violence. And I'm like, okay. Pause. Me, I don't even know a single goon. But they told me, yeah, so we have to cancel the event. And I was like, okay, so now what's the point? Because I'm a policy student and policy is about governance and everything. So I was thinking, why should I continue studying policy only to get into a space where you can actually make it by being corrupt and through lies and everything? So that's when I dropped out of school. I was like, this is it. I'm done. And politics is a no. Like even my political ambitions now are just like, apana, I can't be corrupt and do that. Because I came to realize that later on I was told by someone that they had framed me because they didn't want to participate in the debate. So I decided to go and I'll see what to do. So I meet this friend of mine and she's like, by the way, me, I'm doing a business. I'm making tire seats. I'm like, cool, let's do it. So we start. But things went so quickly because she didn't even tell me she found this place to sell. Okay, she told me like after she's found it, not when she was going to look for it. But also I came to realize that she just found it. She wasn't really looking for a place. So we decided, fine, cool, let's do this. Let's go. These things are going to get money. As in, they look so nice. So we started the shop thing. And then I meet this guy and then we just start dating. We don't even know each other well. I don't know if he's going to listen to this, but started dating. And then now there was so much stress because I wasn't able to do anything for myself in that space that we used to stay in. It was a music studio. Yeah, it was an art place really, because the first shop was his. They would do paintings and sculptures and all sorts of things. The second shop was a tattoo shop. And then now the third shop was another chick called Baibui. She does like crafty stuff, really amazing. And then now us, and then another art guy. So it was 5 spaces. And all of them were just by artists. So that's where we met. And then December, we went for Christmas, came back. I didn't want to move in. Like even me, it's like I found myself in that situation. What did I like about him? I'm also like a musician of sorts, but I've never like gone out. So I liked that he was a musician. And I felt that maybe this would actually be my time to break out. You know, like he would teach me some few things here and there, but that never happened. And then he's also like a really fun guy and very interesting. Like he's sort of like a cartoon would say. It's really funny. But now, at the time, I was also kind of depressed because of school and not knowing what to do and being in a different space. So we actually even never got a chance to talk about my issues. Plus, he was also always busy with other people. He's working in a studio. He's a drummist, And then he has this kind of personality that is so out there. So we never got a chance to be by ourselves. And when we were by ourselves, we would actually just sort of keep quiet because it was so weird. It was so weird. And that used to bother me a lot because I never knew how to talk to him. Yeah, we started dating and then we moved in together. Actually, I didn't know that it's a studio because the first night we spent and there were guys in the sitting room, but I didn't know who they were, so we decided maybe let's just spend our time here. So we had our dinner and then in the morning he had to catch a train to Mombasa, so he was like, yeah, you just chill here and then you leave at your own time. Easy, fine. So we didn't talk much really, but somehow it was so comfortable. This can grow into something nice, there was some connection-ish. Maybe it was on my side, I don't know about his, but yeah, I was like, okay, this could actually work, But when you went to Mombasa over the 2 weeks, holiday weeks, he would call me almost every day, find out how I was doing, nini. I liked his vibe. He used to send me reggae songs. But because our shops were near there, initially I was to be staying with my friend, but then because we were dating and I'd just go over there, chill, have dinner, spend. So kiasi, bring a few clothes. Somehow I'm just there. Yeah, I kind of wasn't myself because I was thinking about a lot of things also. We would be here in a room together, but my mind isn't there. I started thinking about the system and how it's bad, how we've been lied to. I would think about colonization and also connect it to how they've somehow suppressed our women down, the health system, how it's bad, we need to go back to herbs. Just a lot. It was just a lot. And I couldn't express this to anyone. Maybe just one person, but that was it. Not even my parents, not even my best friend. I was just by myself in this sort of space. And then I would read a lot about African awakening, Kemetic culture, but I didn't know who to talk to about it, so I was just dealing with it by myself. Yeah, and then I would read that spiritual awakenings happen and they're so painful, so I was just like, okay, fine, maybe this is mine and it's really bad, so I'm just there. It was very stressful. It was very stressful because now I'd be so absent-minded all the time, because there were times I would actually take a super metro from Juja. Super Metro is the buses that take us from Juja to Nairobi, and then they would play a lot of reggae music. And then I would hear so people are talking about me oh no, huyu aliwacha shule, anafanya nini huku. It was some sort of mental illness, I don't know. Yeah, even on the road sindo ule pale anapita, hata wazazi wake wamemkasirikia. It was just voices. So I need to get home now and relax. Then now when I sit down at home and relax, now I start hearing my friends by the way, JJ sijui nini mbaya na yeye, siku hizi amenyamaza, nini, she's not even confident. Na unajua anaweza imba lakini anaogopa microphone, sijui nini. It was a bit... I've not actually shared this with anyone. I just sit down and listen to them until they die out or I sleep. But they really bother me, why? Because in a way, the voices were kind of right. Siniliwacha shule and sininafanya business yenye I don't have much experience in. I wasn't really able to plan my life or do anything that is constructive with myself. I would do so many poems, but reciting them in front of people would be a problem. So I'd give someone to read and then they were hapana, saki kusoma, nataka nisikie ukisema, and I couldn't. And then I picked a very big name for myself, culture queen, but then I couldn't present myself as that. So it was bugging me a lot, just compounding stress. When you went to Kikuyu now, that's when I felt like I've expressed myself as an artist, because we did murals and I actually liked what I did. And then now from there, that's when I started falling sick. After my diagnosis, I looked at the symptoms and one of them was actually stress. And when I was speaking to other lupus warriors, all of them actually, stress is the underlying factor, because some of them lost their jobs, then now stress. Some of them were actually in bad marriages, so stress. So I figured, okay, maybe actually mine could also be triggered by stress. Because now just dropping out of school like that with no plan, no money, no anything. So when you tell people at home, me, I've stopped school, support inaishia tu hapo, so you have to make it by yourself. and then now you're in this new relationship and you really can't express why you're actually stressed, because he thinks you actually have your shit together, because umefungwa busy, so it's like you know what you're doing but you actually don't. Most of my friends, we stopped talking after I moved to Juja, so I was kind of by myself. And sometimes my brother would see that what you're doing is actually not okay. You need to stop having these friends from Juja, But me, I'm there, I'm like, in my head, so these are the people who can actually help me, because they know what I may be going through, because most of them have had this spiritual awakening. You can see the Rastas, so because there's a very close connection with Rastafarianism and the African way of stuff. When I looked at all these things and I'm thinking, I was actually very stressed. I'm putting myself through a lot of things, because I could just have said, I can't do this. Let me go home, re-strategize, maybe go back to school if I need to, or do something that I'm actually good at, instead of forcing myself on something that I'm not, or something that I can do, but I've never practiced. So we leave Aga Khan, we go home, I'm given food, but at night, I don't know what triggered it. I just I need to go stay in Juja, because now actually we had moved out of the studio with my then boyfriend, so we were living by ourselves. We'd been paid really good money in Kikuyu, so let's do this, fine. So I'm I have a place, I can stay there, I can heal, because I was thinking also I'll be around art and music, I'll be going for nature walks with a friend of mine, so I'll be good. So we stay there, and then it was after Corona, just immediately after Corona. So the first month, we don't pay rent. Second month, we don't pay rent. So I'm there thinking, okay, fine, I don't have a job, I've stopped going to the shop, now what am I supposed to do? I started looking for transcribing jobs, I do the first sort of interview, I don't pass, I'm just there. So he goes, comes back, we're able to buy food, but now we're thinking, okay, where are we going to get money for rent? So me, at the back of my head, I know I can always go back home, but now what happens to this relationship? The landlord was like, you guys itabidi mmehama. So we moved, we had found another place with some other friends. So we were we'll go there. We went all the way to Landless. So now while we were there, now my folks were like, this one, you have to just come back home, because we don't even think you're doing well when you're there by yourself. We want to take care of you, nini. So me, I'm thinking, you people with your Christian ways. I want to do my own things and believe my own way, but you guys won't let me. You're going to just stress me and everything. Then I had stopped taking meds, because now when I read the side effects, prednisone is going to make me lose my bones, Imuran is going to give me liver issues. Me, I'm trying here to be plant-based and herbal and all those things, but then they weren't really working, kinda. Plus, anyway, you can't support a healthy lifestyle because food is expensive and you're not making money. You have to be depending on someone else to do that. So I decided, fine, anyway, even me, I'll just go home. So when I was thinking about the relationship, I was like, okay, I can't even date you in my sick condition, because I was really weak and I had lost a lot of weight. Nilikuwa nakaa kama mtu mwenye ako emaciated, you could see my ribs. It was bad. So we were like, fine, you go home, get better, then maybe from there we'll see, but for now let's kila mtu tuende njia zake. So me, I started thinking of myself as a single person again. So I go home, I go back to taking the meds. So now these meds zikaanza kuni affect mentally. I would actually watch TV and start arguing with the people in the television. I would see my own things, hear my own things. So even my parents were like, kwani nini mbaya? So when they call the doctor, it's like, those are side effects of prednisone. They can make you go crazy. So I was taken to a psychiatrist and it calmed down. But I used to be very triggered by things like mental health issues, corruption. At some point, I would think I'm supposed to be the leader of this country. One time, we were coming from Nairobi, and I actually thought that people out there were waiting for me to get out of the car. I say hi, habari zenu wananchi, that kind of thing. And my mom had to really hold me in the car, because I was so, mi nataka kwenda kuongea na watu. See, they're all waiting for me, It was so crazy. I would even see my friends sindole nora pale anapita. Ayaya, ona ndo ule kileti. But my bro is hapana, hakuna wase. But all these things are in my head. In fact, I was even thinking maybe because I saw them around somewhere in Nakuru. They're waiting for me in Elementaita. Let me go. I meet them there, and then we're going to walk all the way back to Nairobi. Road trip, nini. I was just disoriented in a way, and hallucinating, psychiatric things. So after some point now, we start the diet seriously, and I got better. So I thought, okay, fine, this is now a chance for me to like rebuild my life and everything, and now moving forward I need to do things differently. Maybe I'll do poetry, maybe I won't, but now my options are open. I don't have to confine myself to a few things. The first 2 months, I think, because now I'm back on meds. So now this whole episode of psychiatric things starts to happen. I mean, there was even a time I remember I thought the people in the media houses wanted to meet me personally at a club called Nandi Bears. So me was like, after news, tutapatana. So it used to be Jesse Rogers and another lady on KTN. So I tell them, yeah, kuna round up tutakuja kupatana. Munichill ni come. After some point, I was like, okay, this is not happening. So I would tell them, bidhaa wase ni wabaya, hawataki nikuje, but I'm coming. You guys just chill. I mean, it was so crazy. No one would understand what's going on. Just me in my head, I know what's happening. We would watch TV and I would relate these people to like my own personal life. I don't remember much of it, but it was just weird. It was even one time I wanted to run away. I was like, see, I have a driving license. I'll just take my dad's car keys and drive off to Nairobi and back to my friends, So this time it was actually crazy that they had to hold me down in the house, and then they took me and they started praying for me. Now that one was just a trigger, like, mbona mnaniekelea mikono? You guys, you think Jesus is actually going to come and save you? It was so, my brothers just went to their rooms because they couldn't see me like that. I wanted to literally run away. So I was like, tomorrow morning, I'm going to put on my swimming costume and a short. At the time, there was like some athletes, I think. I'm not so sure. So if anyone asks me what I'm doing, like I'm practicing. So I took my certificates and my IDs and I put them there on my bed and I'm like, yeah, let me now go through these things. And then for some reason, my birth certificates, okay, it's not like that. But then I could see like kuna whiteout imepakwa. So I'm like, these people lied to me. Ini nini imewekwa hapa hivi? Are they not my real parents? So at 3 a.m., I wake up. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm now going to leave the house. I pack. Then I go and look outside. It's so dark. I can't even go anywhere. But in my head, I knew even the watchmen want me to actually go because they know I'm going through something. So I switch on the TV. At that time, it was, I think, Trump and Biden debate. So I'm like, Trump is lying to us. I don't know, something about Brexit. There was also an issue about like the supply chain going on at that time. So I'm like, you see, he can't even handle the country. I don't know what not. I was so crazy, I was even taking notes of what he's saying with it. So that at now I'm going to call Trump and tell him, by the way, you guy, you're just a bad leader. I had notes on a book, and then this book was a German book. Mind you, I've never done German before. I was like, I'm going to teach myself. It's a conch book about German culture. I'm running away with this book. Then nikifika penye naenda, I'm going to start learning German. God. So it's my parents who called the doctor. And the doc was like, okay, bring her to a psychiatrist. So we come back to Nairobi, we go to the psychiatrist. And in his office, I was just all over the place. I even asked him, by the way, do you go outside to bask in the sun? Because he was telling me that you need vitamin D to go along with the nini. Me, I tell him, to the meds. So I tell him, I bask in the sun. So I realized, by the way, this guy doesn't even go out. So I ask him, do you bask in the sun? He laughs. He's like, actually, no, I get here very early in the morning and I leave here late at night. So I told him, the vitamin D is for you, not for me. And then I start looking outside his window, like, this is a very boring place. Like, how can you not have a view and you're a whole doctor? So he was just observing me and nodding. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, why is he nodding, So he was actually telling my parents, by the way, she's actually not okay. Like, this is very hyper behavior. So he prescribed for me meds. And when I took those meds, I actually relaxed, but after a few weeks. Because when we went back home, I could still see things. One time we were having dinner and then my dad walks in, but then I see Raila. So me, I'm like, but then no offense to Azimio guys, but me, I'm thinking, we're not even Raila people. Why? What is he doing in our place? So now I went to the shower and then I could hear Raila speaking. Ati, tulikuwa na Obama juzi. Na tumeona huyu msichana akona potential. So in my head, I'm like, yes, wananikujia, nini. So I start looking at things about Obama in Africa, like there's this yearly program he has, so maybe I should apply and go, maybe I'll meet him. Then somehow Lauren Hill gets into the mix. So I'm like, I'm going to meet Lauren Hill, we'll perform with her. Like, what? It was mad. And then when I take the medicine now, it's called Allianz, I would just sleep. After eating, I'd sleep on the sofa, I'd sleep anywhere on the floor. So my folks would have to like carry me on my back and then on their backs, and then put me in bed. So in the morning I wake up and I'm like, sikulala hapa. But ikatulia after some point. I'd still be on the lupus drugs, but now I'd also be on psychiatric meds. It's a lot. Actually, at some point, I used to refuse the meds. My dad had to force me, because now he's a strong one. He'd have to like come and hold my mouth. You know, like how mothers would force porridge on children, that style now. But me, I would chew the meds and then spit them out. One time I spat on him and he didn't take that lightly. Like, how do you spit on a man, you know, and you're a girl? Nini mbaya na wewe? I mean, it just stopped by itself, but I used to arrange my things a lot. Like, I'd go look at my clothes, arrange them. I'd go through my poetry, arrange the papers. Like, I'm going to start now writing a book, nini. I'd like look at the things I'd collected to do art. Then I actually wonder, now what am I supposed to do with these things? Because they're just pieces of random things, you know, buttons, nails, things from the hospital. Just, I wanted to like do something, but I really couldn't. I tried, but it didn't go anywhere. So I just sat down with myself, expressed myself on paper, what I felt, everything. Like, I want to do a podcast, have a blog, nini, be serious, maybe go back to school. I looked at my policy side and I was thinking, maybe it could actually be a good career. You know, maybe one day I'll be an ambassador. Who knows? Could be something nice. I used to just sit and watch TV. And actually, funny thing, when I was in the psychiatric mood, I could hear other languages. Like, I'd put a Zambia channel and I'd hear what they're saying. I'm telling them, they even though wanasema. At home, I'm Kalenjin. I don't speak it. I can't hear it. Okay, I can hear it, but now that time I could speak to people who are Kalenjin and they were like, kwani wewe ulijua Kikaleli ni? So after some time, all these things just stopped. And I would even tell my mom, I'm not hearing what they're saying anymore. But now I was actually more calmer. Even now guests could come. I was just calm and I could actually hold a conversation, but I was still a bit moody. Like, you'd say something I don't want and just walk out on you. But it just reduced the time. But also we started doing plant-based diet, and now that just settled everything. I had really wanted to go vegan before I got sick, because I started reading about how meat has hormones and like it lowers your vibration. So I was like, I'm going to become vegan. But it was difficult because at home we would like eat meat every day. So and then breakfast, milk. I'd go out, and I used to love pizza, chapati smoky in school, fries, burger. But I actually started stopping, and then I got sick. So now back home, we were like, okay, you're no longer going to take dairy, you're no longer going to take sugar, you're no longer going to take meat. You're just going to be eating vegetables and complex carbohydrates, like now pumpkin, nduma, and all that. So in the morning, we would make coconut milk, actually very simple to make. I'd use oats for my cereals, sometimes porridge. The only meat I was allowed to eat was chicken and fish. So I would have like fish all the time. Even my bros would just be like, hey, even me now, I think I want to be sick. Because them, they're just there scooming. I can't take ugali. So I'm just like ugali and skooma and nini. But me, I'm there with fish and like wimbi ugali or just some nice stuff. So that's where the healing journey I could stay started. And then also in my mind, I was like, I'm not going to think about what is happening. I'm just going to look forward and like, this is going to pass. Because when I would look at myself in the mirror, I was so thin. My face had scars. They're still there, but they've died down. But I could see like I was healing, especially after now the plant-based diet, the healing sort of accelerated. Yeah, like my skin would come back. People would come and see me. They saw me last week and they're like, hey, no, me change. Nini. So that would encourage me. Like, yeah, I'm doing well. But I stopped looking at myself, because now I'm like, what's up? Because me, I'm like, I used to be really beautiful, but now like, now this. But I didn't let it get to me. I just decided, this is going to pass. So I went on with the plant-based diet for some time. That was in 2020, the whole of 2020. 2021, before I came back to school, the doctor was like, you're actually on remission. I'm like, okay, this is actually great. So I go back, fries, letter, burgers, letter zote, Ati nikula ugali ya wimbi. No, white rice, please. And some meat na minji, weka zote, cook, letter. So I started feeling, no, I'm feeling sick. Kiasi joint pains, fatigue hapa na pale. So I go back to hospital and then they're like, baby, you're no longer in remission. Like, now you're back. Here, the symptoms are here. They're showing, they do tests. She's not doing well. So that was like around sometime in 2021 May. But I came back to school still because I decided I want to finish. I was on meds, on and off. Then I stopped kidogo. I increased my weed intake. I don't know if that contributed to anything. Me, I'm always defending weed. And then one time January this year, I got fevers. Like, I was just feeling hot. It was crazy. It would be cold, but I'm just sweating. So I go to hospital. The doc is like, you need to be admitted here for like 5 days. Actually, for like 3 days. But we stayed for 5 days because they were running tests. I was coughing I was coughing so bad. Me, I knew this has to be the weed smoke. So they do x-rays, they do CT scans, nothing. Me in my head, I'm just knowing, hii ni bangi. Hakuna kitu ingine hapa. But then the machines don't actually show weed. They show cigarettes, like tobacco. They did tests. Yeah, they found my red blood cells were low, but that was basically it. But they were like, we can't explain these fevers you're having, but it's a lupus symptom. So I decided, I'm going to go home. So now when I go home, I'm like, me, I can't be sick. Like, I like doing things. Even when I was in hospital, I had my laptop. So I actually, at the time, I had a client. So I did a UI design. I sent it. I got the money. But it was such an uncomfortable space to be in. Like, I can't be doing this. Like, when I'm sick, I can bring my laptop, but I prefer working from home. I prefer doing my stuff. I just can't be sick again. In fact, I told myself, Mimi, sirudi hospitali tena. This is the last time being admitted seriously. So when I go back home, now I make a food timetable where now here we have to be very, very serious. Even if we get better, there is no stopping. So I just decided to get serious with it, and I cook my own meals. It was really hard at the beginning because I'm so used to being cooked for. But now house helps, sometimes they don't really understand that, hey, coconut milk, broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms. Mi sijazoea kupika hizo. So I decided, well and good, I'll just cook for myself. It's an adventure anyway. I'll explore the culinary tastes I want to explore. And it's actually fun. It's fun making your own food, but sometimes it's just, I don't feel like. So I ended up like deciding I'm going to be cooking over the weekends, then keep the food in the fridge. It's easier that way. Plus also, a day like today, I'm not in the house. I can't cook, but I need to eat well every day. So I have to pre-cook, then just warm. And when it comes to food, we've been used to some tastes like meat and chicken. When you become vegetarian now, what's the option? What's the alternative? But I tried a veggie burger once and I just did not like it. But I came to appreciate that natural food has its own kind of flavor. And with time you get accustomed to it. And actually the meat craving just dies out. And you just feel meat is nauseating. So I belong to 2 warrior communities. So there is Lupus Foundation of Kenya. And then there is SCLAD. SCLAD stands for scleroderma, lupus, and other autoimmune diseases. Okay, for me, I joined SCLAD first, and it's my doctor who suggested it. He was like, by the way, there's a community of lupus warriors, and you can actually join them. I don't know how my mom got the contacts, but me, I just found myself there. So basically what happens is we just talk about having lupus, sharing symptoms, blah, blah, blah. Like today I woke up like this, nini. And to an extent, there's positives and negatives of being in a warrior group. Because one, if you're trying to be on this healing journey, you really don't need negative energy. Like every day people talking about symptoms. I mean, they're there, but now the question is, what are you doing about them? Like if you're having joint pains, just take turmeric tea and black pepper and they'll die down, But there's a lot of focus on the symptoms rather than the solutions. So at some point I left the group, then I came back. Then now I decided, okay, I have something called Lupus Girl Thriving. It's a blog and an Instagram page where I talk about how to manage your symptoms, how to be positive, just things you can do, therapies, Pilates, yoga, blah, blah, blah. So I decided I'm going to be the positive voice because lupus has no cure, but me, I'm aiming for remission. Like I was there before and I can go back there. And it's possible. You don't have to live in pain every day. You don't have to have symptoms worsening all the time. And the second group is Lupus Foundation of Kenya. It's not really that active, but we do talk. I still post there a lot. It's okay. But me, my main beef with the warrior groups is the constant, I'm not feeling okay. And I know they're going to backlash on me once they hear this, but I feel like you should take initiative for yourself and for your health. Let's be positive in these groups. So if I could speak to the people with autoimmune diseases like lupus, scleroderma, fibromyalgia, anything, it's a hard space to be in, and it's very confusing, it's very challenging, because these are things that just came up the other day, so there's not much information about it. And they say the one thing that they like telling us is there's no cure, and so that really brings you down. So just shut out all the negativity and decide, okay, I'm the one who's sick, not the doctor, not my parents, not my siblings, not my friends, it's me, and I need to get better. If you want to get better, then you have to get better. So just take initiative and find out what it is you can do. What foods shouldn't I eat? What should I eat? What workouts can I do when I'm feeling bad? Because joint pains, you can't work out a lot. Maybe you can try simple Pilates, some simple yoga. If you're able to do yoga, do a lot of green juicing. Be active towards your health. And if you need help, ask for help. If you can't get the help, don't feel bad. It's your life. It's about you. So just wake up and help yourself. You're the only help you're ever going to get.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. Oh man, I am so thankful that Joy shared this story. It just really puts a lot of health questions or concerns into perspective. I also love how honest and lighthearted she is when she glances at the past, almost with a grace that she can see where she went wrong or things that she did that she's not too sure of, things that others did. There's a very refreshing grace she has when she's looking into the past that I really liked. So if, like Joy, you want to share your story on this podcast, just click the storyteller form in the show notes and fill out the form. Make sure in the contacts you put an email that you actually check out, because then I will be reaching out to you. And this is open to you who's African, wherever you are in the world. Obviously, if you're in Nairobi, it's easier to record you in person, but we also do recordings virtually, so holla. That sounded so sleazy. I apologize. Oh my days. Okay, also remember that this podcast plays on Trace FM here in Kenya every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. and Fridays at 1 p.m. So just head over to traceradio.co.ke for a list of all the frequencies. List. What's happening to my speech? A list. Okay, of all the frequencies. Make sure you also support the channel by checking out the video series. Season 3 is pretty awesome. We worked so hard on it. Just go to our YouTube channel. We are 5 episodes in, so we're at the halfway mark, and the stories are really inspiring. So our YouTube channel is Legally Clueless. There's a link to it in the show notes. There's also a link to Legally Clueless Africa, which is where you should go to sign up and join the community. The community already got one sweet message from me. I have been working on the next one, which is going to be going out this coming week, and it's going to dive deeper into the ancestral altar and just some resources if you're trying to figure out your African spirituality. Okay, I need to call it a day because this is a really long episode. So thank you so much for listening to the very end. And yeah, until next time, I hope you are completely surrounded by grace and peace. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.